Sunday is Science Fiction Night on KTEH. For coming up at 11:20, we've got the complete Doctor Who adventure, Kinda. Scott Appel back with you, your host for Science Fiction Night on KTEH. And I have some information about special programs that will be airing on Science Fiction Night over the next couple of weeks. For instance, next Sunday we'll air a double feature devoted to the world's worst filmmaker, Ed Wood Jr. We'll start at 9:06 with Look Back in Angora, an irreverent biography. And we'll follow this with Plan 9 from Outer Space, the worst film of all time, starting at 10:19. 2 weeks from tonight, we've got a special double feature of computer animation and music. Gate to the Mind's Eye begins at 9:05, and Beyond the Mind's Eye begins at 10:15. Now, both of these include visual imagery that's just incredible. And, of course, we'll follow each of these special evenings with the complete Doctor Who adventure. And speaking of Doctor You-Know-Who, before we move on to the Doctor, let's take a preview at some other shows coming soon to KTEH.
Of apes, Angora, and stock footage.
You make me feel like King Kong.
The Queen of the Gorillas is reincarnated as a beautiful brunette who loves Angora. This puzzles both her gun-wielding husband and her hairy ex-husband. In the twist ending, the ape and the girl live happily ever after. Ed convinced a fellow ex-Marine into backing a ghost film, Revenge of the Dead. But once more, Ed Wood stretched himself and the budget too far, overlooking certain minor details.
The payroll, remember?
Yeah, I forgot.
And the developing lab refused to release the film until Ed paid the bill.
I think we'll hold on to that for a little while.
You've no right to keep my property.
We've got all the rights right now.
Everything. Negatives and all.
Revenge of the Dead, also called Night of the Ghouls, was never released to theaters. Ed's natural buoyancy began to fail. Desperation replaced optimism. His last chance came in 1961, a crime thriller that was strangely prophetic.
Now, Matt, this smut picture racket has got to be stopped.
Pornography. A nasty word for a dirty business.
The villain, trapped by fate and his own weakness, was autobiographical. Ed's own movie posters decorated the office walls.
I look at this slush and try to remember. At one time, I made good movies.
It seems you have chosen your own fate. Live with it. I should say die with it.
Pull the string. Dance to that. Which one is created for?
No one wishes to see a man dead.
Are gangster and horror pictures all you produce?
Those are made by friends of mine. I think you'll find my type of picture entirely different.
He wrote scores of sex films and books, signing his own name with perverse pride.
So he brings me a script which consists of around 29 pages, 28 pages. I said, how on earth am I going to make a 90-minute picture?
These never-before-seen home movies show Ed Wood, director Stephen Apostoloff, and the cast and crew of Orgy of the Dead.
I had to use the smoke machine in order to create the fog effect. Chris cannot see. He just like this. And he's reading. So it was, you can see she was staring at a few thousand others.
Well,
She will be yours.
when?
At your discretion. But first, I desire more entertainment.
The moon is almost gone.
There is yet time.
Actually, she was the production manager. Yeah, she was jackass of all trades and things like that, you know. Pick up. Eddie was in the back, the first year, shooting, but he didn't know it. I didn't know that was the first association which I had with him. I did not have to see him probably also acute. Bob Gaetano, who was my assistant director, he said, don't give money to Eddie until the picture's finished. Well, Eddie took me a couple of days later, you know. But here, give me $50, $35, and so on and so forth. He was drunk. Later on, I found in the desk of the production office half a bottle of vodka, you know. Eddie was my friend. He was a nice guy. With a Bruce joke.
In Orgy of the Dead, demons force a horror writer and his girlfriend Shirley to suffer through the tortures of the damned. Mainly, a series of awful striptease acts.
I was
to hear that he was doing porno pictures and that he was drinking too much.
Ed could tell himself he was earning a living in the movie business, but he drank his income as soon as he earned it. He and Kathy lost their home and eventually moved into a sordid apartment on Yucca Street in the slums of Hollywood.
The place we were living in was pretty funny. It was dangerous, in fact. I think that's what killed Eddie when we got kicked out of that place.
You know, in those days, he was drinking more than ever.
Could turn things out all night, you know, just do a whole script in 5 or 6 hours. But at that point, he was downhill.
Booze bloated his face and fogged his mind. He regaled friends with grand plans for new films.
What is it, Ed? I've got an awful lot of appointments today, but supposed to drop by around 3 o'clock this afternoon.
They wanted to believe.
How can you be so sure?
Some will turn up. It always does.
But it never did. The cheesy films he wrote, directed, and even acted in made Plan 9 look tasteful by comparison.
It all seems like such a bad dream.
When children grow up among adults who refuse to recognize anything that is fine and good or worthy of respect, it's no wonder that many of these children fail to develop high moral standards or to distinguish right from wrong.
I couldn't think straight. It wasn't until night came again my brain cleared. Funny thing about remembering. You never remember the right things until it's too late. The life I relived wasn't very pleasant. Anyway, not for me.
At one time, I made good movies.
Here I am, reduced. We're crawling like a whipped dog. Will it never end? Help me. Help me. This isn't real. It can't be. I must be dreaming. But I'm not. I can't make it. I can't make it. I can't make it.
Had Johnny stayed honest, he might have been a big man in the motion picture business.
I'm gonna cry! I'm gonna cry!
Fred Olin Ray, a young producer-director from Florida, found Ed and asked him to write a real movie script, a low-budget sci-fi horror spoof.
Well, here we go again.
Ray grew up with Woods films and appreciated them for what they were. Fred Ray shot a few minutes of the film to try to raise money, just as Ed Wood did years before. The film was never finished.
As I says about women, now let's find Beebe before we turn it into puppy.
Right.
Could this have been Ed's last chance? The one big break he was always looking for?
Yeah. Wait!
Is that thing loaded?
He's priming. Find out.
You don't try to follow us. You ain't getting us for big trouble.
The few dollars for the script were gone fast. Ed's drinking made him unreliable even for the porno market.
I venture to say it was a week or so before he died, or 2 weeks maybe. And she didn't look good. She didn't look good at all.
December the 10th, 78.
Broke, beaten by rejection, and ill from alcohol, Ed was evicted from his shabby apartment. His manuscripts, films, and mementos were tossed into a garbage bin. It was a week before Christmas.
I have no home. Abandoned. Despised. Living like an animal. That I will show the world that I can be master.
Don't feel so well. Everything keeps going around.
Then one day it could all be gone. All that out there. The stars, the planets, all just an empty void.
A life is ended.
But in the years years since then, his films, scripts, and stories have gained a cult popularity they never had originally. With film festivals, TV marathons, and video re-releases.
Here the guy is a complete failure. You know, in our way of thinking, made slot pictures, you know, and suddenly he's famous. It's amazing, but kind of shocking.
Periodicals like Psychotronic and Cult Movies magazine praised the films as sincere, subversive, delirious, terms so glowing that even Eddie Wood might have wondered what the hell they were talking about.
We need a psychiatrist to explain it to you.
Kansas City entrepreneur Wade Williams paid a 23-year-old lad bill and sent Night of the Ghouls out to a waiting video audience. Filmmaker Mark Carducci's documentary on Plan 9 from Outer Space runs a half hour longer than the film itself. A biography of Wood by Rudolph Gray, Nightmare of Ecstasy, was published by Farrell Press in 1992. It sold out and became the basis of a script by Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, filmed by director Tim Burton on a budget more than 100 times greater than every Ed Wood budget combined.
So my dear country now believes in my work and that it can be a success. 20 years ago, I was classed as a madman, a charlatan. Now, here in this forsaken jungle hell, I have proven that I am all right.
Ed Wood finally got his break. He became a hot Hollywood property. He just had to be dead to do it. But then, Eddie Wood loved twist endings.
Our fitting climax to an evening's entertainment.
Eddie Wood displayed his heart and soul on film. The world rejected it. But the world changed, and his films will stay the same forever. He had the enthusiasm, but he never had the time or the money to make a really good movie. Maybe he never really had the talent. But we can appreciate this crazy vision for what it is, and maybe even accept him for what he was. And there's one important difference between Ed Wood and all the other would-be filmmakers the world over.
I tried, honestly, I tried.
Something shines through the nightmares and the sex, the shoddy sets, and the lousy dialogue. What can it be?
Love is the only answer.
Eddie Wood loved movies.
Oh, snips and snails and puppy ducktails.
In spite of all the sadness that Eddie went through in his work, Eddie was triumphant in the end.
Cut. Oh, how the mighty have fallen, or something like that. Our tribute to Ed Wood and Shirley tonight. But wait, there's more of the tribute yet to come, because coming up next is Plan 9 from Outer Space, the movie that Ed Wood said is his particular favorite of all the films that he made. So please stay tuned for that. If you've seen it before, you know how unique it is. And if you haven't seen it before, you're in for a real treat. So please stay tuned for that. Right now, though, I have an update. We started out this science fiction night telling you that we are under the terms of a challenge. And in case you're just now joining us, here's the way this challenge works. We have $10,000 of challenge money on the line here. This is money that members of KTEH have donated above and beyond their membership dues in order to encourage other people to become members. We have $10,000 of that money available to us tonight, but it does come with strings attached. We have to raise a total of 120 pledges. Pledges at any amount, but they must be legitimate pledges over the 4 breaks that we're showing Ed Wood tonight. We've already had one of those breaks, and we had 42 pledges coming in. So, according to the goal board, we are now 78 pledges away of releasing that $10,000 in challenge money. Now, I know there are at least 78 people watching right now who are not yet members of KTEH. If you'd all call right now, boy, we could just call it a night here and head for home and show the rest of the night without pledge interruptions. But until that happens, we need to hear from you at 408-437-5400 or toll free at 1-800-225-5454. You know, in all seriousness, Sunday Science Fiction Night is something that KTEH does that you will not find on any other Bay Area television station, be it commercial or public. We do it each and every Sunday night, and the reason we do is because it's become so very, very popular among science fiction fans. Now, the downside of this is these programs are very expensive to us. They don't come to us from PBS. We go out and purchase these programs above and beyond what we get from PBS. So that's why it's very, very important that the people who watch and enjoy our Science Fiction Night do what you can to help make it possible. So make that call of support right now. I do want to remind you, at the $120 level, we'd be very happy to send you a video cassette of Ed Wood, Look Back in Angora, the documentary you just saw, with announcing by Gary Owens. Gary Owens, of course, the quintessential announcer who did a wonderful job narrating this. And, you know, looking at this this documentary as a technical piece of work, the editing was really something, wasn't it? The way they set up the joke and then they'd have the film clip come back and respond to it. Really a fun documentary, one I know you're going to enjoy watching many, many times again. So this is one you definitely want to add to your home video library, and we'd be happy to send it to you in exchange for your pledge of $10 a month. If you want to use your credit card, we encourage that. Visa card, MasterCard, Discover card, or American Express. In fact, again, I want to restate this because it's a pretty neat deal. If you pledge $60 or higher tonight on credit card, in addition to tapping into the challenge money, in addition to the thank you gift that you request, we're also going to throw in a pair of tickets to the Renaissance Fair coming up in Marin County. So all the more reason to get to the phone and make that investment at area code 408-437-5400. There's that Renaissance Fair, or it's toll free from any place in the Bay Area at 1-800-225-5454. Another reason to call is we're coming up on the new fall season. We are making some very important programming decisions. We want to make sure that science fiction is going to be very well represented in our fall schedule. So give us the wherewithal in the form of bucks to make it happen right now with your call and your pledge. Now, with me in the Channel 54 studio tonight is Graylin Thornton, and he has some other thank you gifts to tell you about. Graylin?
Thank you, George. If you pledge this evening at the $240 level or $20 a month, we'd like to send you 2 Ed Wood movies. The one you're looking at, Look Back in Angora, and also Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is probably his most popular movie, and the one that he considers his best movie. That, as you know, stars Tora Johnson, Vampira, Bela Lugosi, and, of course, Criswell. That is at the $20 a month level or $240. If the $120 level is going to suit you better, then you could get either movie, Look Back in Angora or Plan 9 from Outer Space. We'd love to send you one of those for your pledge this afternoon. At the $90 level, we do have classic science fiction films. If I could open it up here for you. There's Bela Lugosi there as the Ape-Man. I had never seen that before. And there are also all sorts of science fiction films in here. It gives you clips, it gives you stories, it gives you everything you've ever wanted to know about classic science fiction films. That's at the $90 level or $7.50 a month. When you use your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card, we would like to send to you, as our way of saying thank you, 2 tickets to the Renaissance Pleasure Fair. The Renaissance Pleasure Fair is located up in Novato, and that runs August 26th through October 1st. You could attend any weekend that you'd like during that time period, and that also includes Labor Day. We'll send you those with any pledge on the credit card at $60 a month, at $60 or up. In one of the movies, Vampira says, was Ed Wood the worst of the best directors or the best of the worst directors? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know he did a lot on no budget. He didn't have $300 million to go out and make his films like they do today, and neither do we. That's why we ask you for your pledge of support so that we can continue to bring you the science fiction films that you enjoy. So why don't you go to your phone and make that pledge. The numbers are on your screen. They're 408-437-5400 or 1-800-225-5400. 5454. My friend Jean Zeller is also in the studio. She has some thoughts to share. Jean?
Hey, at least Ed Wood didn't spend $170 million and make Water World. I think he did a pretty good job. Here's where we stand right now. We are 68 new members away from reaching the goal this evening and from earning an additional $10,000 to invest in science fiction programming for you. If we can get that number down to zero, as George said, the minute we get there, we'll go away and we'll cancel all the rest of the pledge breaks for the evening. So if you're a fan of Plan 9 from Outer Space and you'd like to watch it without any interruptions whatsoever, pick up your telephone right now and make a pledge of support. And when you do call and pledge, in addition to helping us earn that additional $10,000, that is a lot of money. You're also going to be casting a vote for us to go ahead and purchase the rights to Glenn or Glenda. Wouldn't you enjoy seeing that here on KTEH on a Sunday evening? Of course you would. Then pick up the phone and get counted in. It's much too quiet here. We had a flurry of activity, and now everybody's kicked back thinking that somebody else is going to get the job done. As George said, not a single science fiction program is coming to this station from PBS. These are all programs that we've had to go out independently and buy independently. We'll do that. We'll continue to do it even though our federal funding is being slashed. If you'll help, and believe me, your pledge right now, leveraging that additional $10,000 is so important, especially because of what's happening with federal funding. If you join us tonight with a pledge of $10 a month and you have both the videos that Graylin showed you, maybe you'd like to have Night of the Ghouls, hosted by Elvira. They're all on here. Duke Moore, Kenny Duncan, Criswell, that wonderful actor, clairvoyant Criswell, all on one videotape. It can be our thank you gift to you for a pledge of $10 a month, or pledge $30 a month and choose all three of the videos along with those great Renaissance Fair tickets if you use your credit card. Let's count down on this goal. We're going to go back over to George and see where we stand.
Take 11 more off, Gene, and that's terrific, but we still have to get that number down to zero because we have $10,000 of challenge money on the line here. Terrific phone volunteers here waiting to talk to you. Let's put them to work at 408-437-5400 or toll free at 1-800-225-5454. Personally, I think if Ed Wood had the budget for Waterworld, he would have spent about 20 grand on the movie and then thrown one heck of a party that we would have all liked to go to. Be that as it may, though, the party happens every Sunday night here at KTEH as we bring you Science Fiction Night. And again, we really can't stress this enough. These programs don't come to us from PBS. These are some of these little gems that we have to go out and mine independently, and that's why it's very, very important that the people who watch our Science Fiction Night on Sunday do what you can to support. We don't ask any one viewer to shoulder the entire burden. It's your pledge added in with everybody else. We smoosh it all together, and we have Sunday Science Fiction Night. So do your smooshing right now at 408-437-5400 or toll free at 1-800-225-5454. Support Science Fiction Night. You know, we have a very, very loyal audience for our Sunday Night Science Fiction. I'm pretty sure that our member to viewer ratio on Sunday Science Fiction Night is probably the highest among all of our nights, but according to the Nielsen numbers, Sunday Science Fiction Night doesn't have our biggest overall audience, and that's why it's very, very important that the people who watch these programs support these programs. And if you are not yet a member, we want you to think of this as a personalized invitation from us to you to get on board. Also, I do want to remind you that at the $120 pledge level, we'd be very happy to send you the video cassette of Ed Wood, Look Back in Angora. Good addition to have to your home video library, and if you want, you can make that pledge on installments at the rate of just $10 a month. In fact, you can put those installments on your credit card if you want, and you'll still get the Renaissance Fair tickets, because any pledge of $60 or higher that comes in on credit card tonight, we're going to throw in a couple of Renaissance Fair tickets, and that's above and beyond the video or whatever else you're asking for as your thank you gift, and we're glad to do it. And so all the more reason to get you over to the telephone. Don't forget, however, that if you don't call, it really cuts into our our ability to serve you because we are only as good as you make us here at Sunday Science Fiction Night. So if you agree that there ought to be a station somewhere in the Bay Area, if not in the known universe, who devotes an entire Sunday night to science fiction, let us hear from you, and let us hear from you now. Right now, though, I'm going to ask Graylin to show us those terrific thank you gifts one more time. Graylin?
Thanks, George. Again, at the $240 level, we will add to Ed Wood, Look Back in Angora, Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was Ed Wood's favorite film, and you want that just for the spaceship scene. It's definitely worth it. If $120 is the level that you'd like to pledge at this evening, we would send you either film, Ed Wood, Look Back at Angora, or Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's $10 a month or $120. If you'd like to pledge at the $90 level this evening, we would like to send you classic science fiction films. It's a book with lots of pictures, and it tells you the stories of many of the science fiction films which we've enjoyed all over the years. That's at $7.50 or at the $90 level. If you can pledge on your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card, we'd like to send you an extra little thank you. In addition to any of the gifts that you choose this evening, we'd like to send you 2 tickets to the Renaissance Pleasure Fair. That's up in Nevada, and that runs August 26th through October 1st. Again, that's on a Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card. So why don't you go to your phone? The numbers are on the screen. They're 408-437-5400 or 1-800-225-5454. Jean Zeller is at the goal board, and she's going to update us. Jean?
Here's where things stand. We are 52 new members away from $10,000 to invest in science fiction programming for you. You know, Sunday night is my nostalgia night. For some people, it's big band music. For me, it's grade B movies. I have 2 older brothers. They used to tell my mother, oh, we're going to take her to see Haley Mills and the Parent Trap, and we'd go see the Blob and the Tingler and the Hand and things that would terrorize me for about a week. My mother always thought that there was something wrong with Haley Mills, that she scared me so much. Pick up your telephone right now. Don't let us say no thank you to our current members who have issued this challenge. They want very much to, on top of their current support, add that $10,000 to our program fund to buy science fiction programming. They're going beyond their membership, trying to encourage you to join with them, because they know that they all by themselves can't keep this ship afloat for very long, that it's going to take a little bit of help from everybody who enjoys science fiction on Sunday night on KTEH. So pick up that telephone. Remember, we've got Night of the Ghouls on videotape for you, hosted by Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark. That's one of the videotapes available for a pledge of $10 a month. Use your credit card, get those 2 tickets to the Renaissance Fair, and enjoy a great time at the fair on KTEH. But right now, with your pledge of support at any level you choose, it doesn't matter. If you want to pledge $1,000, by all means do that. If you want to make a pledge of $35, your pledge counts too, and you get us 1 new member closer to that $10,000. And believe me, with the challenges that we are looking at ahead of us and the price of the science fiction programming going right through the roof, we can't afford to let that $10,000 slip through our fingertips. And as a fan of sci-fi, you can't afford it either. Please call.
Our thanks to the members of viewer-supported KTEH Channel 54. And a very special thank you to our phone volunteers from the Piedmont Hills High School Key Club. We'd like to thank them for joining us and welcoming you as a new member. Now, let let me get this straight. This is Plan 9 from outer space, which I guess means there were 8 plans before that that failed. Well, anyways, we'll have to just stay tuned till the bitter end here to find out if Plan 9 succeeds. And speaking of the bitter end, we are down to it. This is the final pledge break of the night, and if you've been following along, you know what we are up against. We have $10,000 in challenge money that is available to us, and we are now 31 pledges away from tapping into $10,000 additional dollars for Sunday Science Fiction Night. We started out, our goal was 120 pledges at any amount. If we get 120 pledges total, that will release the $10,000, and we have been whittling away on that number all night long, and now it's up to you and 30 other people. Now, what happens if we just get 29 calls or 28 calls? That means we don't get the $10,000. So, we want to hear from you right now. If you have been watching throughout the evening and say, gee, I really ought to call and make a pledge of support, now is the time. This is our last chance to grasp that $10,000 that we can then reinvest in future Sunday Science Fiction Nights. And again, that money only comes to us if and when we get that 120th call. So let us hear from you now. Here's another reason you might want to call and make a pledge. This is at the $120 level. We'll be very happy to send you a factory-mastered video cassette of Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space. This is a, like I say, factory-mastered, so it's nice, clean copy, fairly crisp video, considering what they had to work with from the original. And we'd be very happy to send it out to you in exchange for your pledge of $10 a month. Now, obviously, you can go to a store and buy a video for less than that. We want you to understand we're not trying to sell videos here. What we're trying to do is enlist support in public television, and if that's what it takes to get you to get to the telephone to make that call, then we're more than happy to pass along that gift to you. Also, if you can possibly make that pledge on credit card tonight, we encourage you to do so, because for every pledge of $60 or higher that comes in on credit card, we're going to toss in a couple of tickets to the Renaissance Pleasure Fair coming up in Novato. The Renaissance Fair is one of those really fun events, and we'd be happy to send you along to it, you and a friend, along with what other thank you gift you request tonight when you call and make your pledge. So the only thing standing between us and the $10,000 in challenge money is those 31 pledges. So let's hear from you right now at 437-5400 or toll free at 1-800-225-5454. Now, with me in the Channel 54 studio tonight is Graylin Thornton. Graylin has some other terrific ways that we're saying thank you. Graylin?
Thank you, George. If you can pledge this evening at the $360 level, we'd like to send you all 3 of the videos that we've offered this evening. Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is Ed Wood's favorite movie. You can have your own copy for hours and hours and hours of enjoyment of that. You can add to your video library, invite your friends over, have a good laugh, good time, all of the above. Then we also like to send you Night of the Ghouls. That has Elvira on it. You can compare her to Vampira in the other movie. They're very similar, but Elvira is the one of my day. And then you could see Ed Wood look back in Angora, so you could view that movie and then see why he made the other 2 movies. Maybe all your questions will be answered in that. Again, that's at the level of $360 this evening. If you do choose, you can have 2 of them for $240 pledge level, or just one at the $120 pledge level, or $10 a month. If you do pledge this evening at the $90 level, we'd like to send you this book that I keep looking at, Classic Science Fiction Films. And I finally found what I was looking for, the films of my science fiction childhood. I used to like Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and all those good guys, the big guys. I watched them destroy Tokyo over and over and over, and I thoroughly enjoyed the films. That, again, can be yours at the $90 pledge level or $7.50 a month. You can pledge this evening by using a check you can send in to us, or you could use a credit card, your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. And if you do, since it does save us time and money and allows your money to go directly to the programs you support, we'd like to send you 2 tickets to the Renaissance Pleasure Fair. As you know, that's located in Nevada. It runs August 26th through October 1st, and you can go any weekend that you choose, whenever it's convenient to you. It's always a lot of fun up there, and it's even open on Labor Day. Again, we'll send those 2 tickets to you, plus any of the thank you gifts that you choose when you make a pledge at the $60 level and above. So when I was younger and I was running out to the movies, I could see 2 movies. They were normally one of the Godzilla movies. See 2 for $1. We get some popcorn with real butter. Going to the theater was lots of fun. Well, now you know it's a lot more expensive. A movie costs about $7.50 or $8. So we've done it for you. We've gone out and we've purchased movies, the science fictions which you enjoy. We're bringing them to you at home so you can sit there, have your own popcorn with real butter there, and just watch the movies. But in order to keep doing that, we need you to make a pledge of support. The numbers are on your screen. Just go to your phone, dial one of them. They are 408-437-5400 or 1-800-225-5454. Jean Zeller's over at the Gold Board, and she's going to tell you how we're doing.
Man, oh man, oh man, we are coming right down to the wire, and here's where we stand. We started out needing to welcome 120 new members, and here we are in the last couple of minutes of the last membership request of the evening. We are you and 20 others away from reaching this goal and earning an additional $10,000 that we can invest in science fiction programming for you. $10,000. If I went to you and I said, if you'll give me something, I don't know, 25 bucks, 35 bucks, and in exchange I'll give you $10,000, you wouldn't have to think about that all too long. That's exactly the deal that our current members are making with you this evening. They're saying if you will go to the telephone and make a pledge at any level you choose, $20 a month or $10 or $5, a one-time pledge of $35, they don't care about the amount of your pledge. If you'll make a pledge in any amount, they will give KTEH an additional $10,000 to spend on programming for you throughout the next 12 months. I think that's an incredible deal. An awful lot of people have called this evening and have gotten this far. In the final minutes, don't let it slip away because you didn't make your call, because the conditions of this challenge were very, very clear. If we are even one new member shy of that goal of 120 new members, that $10,000 is untouchable to us. We cannot take it out of the bank account and spend it on programming. That would be a real shame. So if you have ever thought about being a member of this station, think about it no longer. The time to take some action is right now, because your pledge can leverage an awful lot. You'll also, by the way, be voting for the film Glenn or Glenda. That's an Ed Wood film that has just become available to KTEH, and we're going to use the results tonight to determine whether or not we should go ahead and purchase the rights to that film. So you can do an awful lot with a 1-minute phone call. Remember, if you join us tonight with a pledge of $10 a month or more, or $120 for the year, you can choose as your thank you gift Ed Wood's Look Back in Angora. We showed this earlier this evening, narrated by Gary Owens, with clips of all of Ed's movies. That can be our thank you gift to you. Put it on a credit card and let us send you a pair of those great tickets to the Renaissance Fair. Make the phone call right now. Dial 408-437-5400 or 1-800-225-5454. Let's check back in with George and see if he has better news.
I do indeed. Gene, we are now 17 calls away from releasing that $10,000 in challenge money. You and 16 other heroes should run to the telephone if that's what it takes to dive in there and make those pledges, because time is of the essence here. We are running out of time, and it would be a shame if we had to turn down $10,000 of support for Sunday Science Fiction Night just because 16 people didn't call or 17 people didn't call. So if you have been thinking that your pledge is not really that important in the grand scheme of things, think again. You and 16 other people could get us to the point where we will have an extra $10,000 to invest in the types of programs that you want to see. You know, Jean was absolutely right when she said, what would you do if someone said to you, if you give me $35, I'll give you $10,000? You jump at that opportunity, and that's in essence what we're doing here, because if you will make a pledge in any amount right now, we will then release that money if we can get to that last pledge and put it into programming that you will then be able to see. So it's a gift to you. So it really is a very, very good investment when you think about it. And not only that, you get a thank you gift if you pledge at the appropriate levels. And not only that, if you put that pledge on your credit card, you're going to go to the Renaissance Fair with a friend, because we'll give you 2 tickets to that. So all the more reason to get to the telephone and make that pledge of support. Let us hear from you right now. You know, there are some other ways that people support KTEH, and we want to acknowledge these people right now. These are our volunteers. I want to start with our phone group tonight from Piedmont Hills High School. A terrific group of young people been working away. There you see them on the phones welcoming new members, and I know they very much want to see us get down to 0 on that number of pledges needed. So our thanks to them for doing such a terrific job tonight. Also want to thank our data entry volunteers up in the front office working so hard, and also our technical volunteers. There you see them standing there doing something technical, talking into those earphones and all that other high-tech stuff that I can only begin to fathom the significance of. So thanks to everyone who volunteers their time to KTEH. But you know, the most direct way that you can support this public television station is to call right now with your pledge of support at 408-437-5400 or toll free at 1-800-225-5454. I'm going to ask Jean Zeller, do we have a count, Jean? We are 11 away, she tells me. So while 11 people head for the telephone, let's go back up to Jean Zeller. We're going to sort of break our rotation here, Mr. Director. Let's go back up to Jean Zeller and get a further update. Jean?
I know we can reach this goal. It's down to 10 now. It says 11, but ignore it. You know, it's that Edward thing. We're 10 new members away. You and 9 others will do it. 10 members. It's like adding $1,000 to every single pledge that comes in from now until the end of this membership request. If we can get that number, get it down to 0, if you will play a part tonight and make a pledge at whatever level you choose, you will have helped us earn an additional $10,000 in support. And as we've been saying all evening long, our pledge to you is that we are going to plow that money right back into the programming you want to see. We are 5 new members away. This is our big electronic tote board here. You and 4 others now will do it. We'll send you the whole list of thank you gifts if you'd like that. Remember, if you use your credit card, we can send you a pair of tickets to the Renaissance Fair. There are so many good reasons to pick up the telephone right now and join with us. The very best reason is that KTEH will have an additional $10,000 because of a 1-minute phone call that you made tonight to spend on programming on Sunday night for you. So dial 408-437-5400 or 1-800-225-5454. I'm going to go count some pledges too. We're going to throw it back over to George.
Okay, Jean, we have 2 more on the line right in front of me. That leaves 3. You and 2 other people can release $10,000 in challenge money. So again, if you think your pledge is not that important, make it now, because it's critical that we get to that point where we can release that $10,000 in challenge money. And please remember, folks, we can only count legitimate calls of support. If you're out there with your speed dialer with nothing better to do, don't call now, because we really want to be able to serve you with the science fiction programs. And thanks to everyone who has called, but I'll tell you what, until we get down to 0, we cannot release that $10,000. So if you're thinking about making that telephone call to KTEH, think no longer, act on that impulse, reach out, pick up the phone, dial 408-437-5400 or 1-800-225-5454. Jean, do we have a count? I'm going to ask Jean to keep track of things up here. We're 2 away, she tells me. 2 pledges away. You and 1 other person can make a $10,000 difference if and only if you will call right now with your pledge of support. Okay, the floor director just held up a great big 1 at me, which means we have 1 minute left. We are now one pledge away from that $10,000, so it all comes down to you. You've been watching all night long saying, everyone else will make the pledge. Well, it's down to the point where we're one away, and you are the one person who has not yet called, so we really want to hear from you at 408-437. Okay, Gene tells me we are there. We're down to the big zero. We have just released $10,000 of member challenge money for Science Fiction Night. Thanks to everyone who has called. Thanks to our volunteers. Thanks to our tech crew. Thanks to everyone who's made it possible. But most importantly, thanks to you, the viewer of KTEH, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have any reason to be here. So we are very, very happy to be able to continue to serve you as your public television station here in the Bay Area. Now we're going to return you to the rest of Plan 9 from Outer Space because you made it possible.
Thank you to our more than 45,000 members for your generous support of quality public television on KTEH Channel 54.